All right, you guys, very pregnant Candace Owens is back at it again, this time at Georgia Tech during the Live Free tour. Right after her speech, there's a Q&A, and she went head-to-head in a heated exchange with a trans activist. We're going to be talking about this in just 1 second, but first, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you could please really quickly hit that like button for the algorithm, I would greatly appreciate it. And then lastly, this video is sponsored by my good friends over at Deal Dash. Huge shout out to you guys. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a bit. So as always, catch the full video down in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump into this exchange.
Hi, I'm wondering, there are dozens of words for two-spirited people, people that would now be considered LGBTQ or trans people in the native languages. So I'd like to know how, as these people have existed for thousands of years before you were alive or anyone else in this room was alive, and before anyone even colonized America, if trans people were around then, I'm just wondering why you think it is that trans people are only here now because the media is telling people these things.
Really quick, before she moves on, this student is totally wrong about this. Two-spirit does not mean trans. I just want to clarify that really quick before we move on. Let's hear Candace's response.
Well, do you think it's weird that I graduated with 0 trans people? Do you think, what do you think has contributed to the explosion of transgender people from the time that I was in high school? I'll ask you a question back. If this was just a natural thing, and I don't know what you're talking about with two-spirit people, is this like a Native American tribe, like high, smoking, and talking about your spirit? I'm asking you seriously, because when I think of Native American tribes talking about their spirits, I know that they used to smoke a lot, they used to do drugs, they also were cannibals who used to eat people, so I don't know if we should be taking our cues from cannibals. But
I think
can you
that's
explain
kind
to me
of
what
ridiculous.
two-spirit is in the history?
There are people that would now be considered trans people, people that did not feel that they fit
What
the
part,
binary
though?
gender.
Native Americans? I'm asking you.
Yes, I'm telling you that not only in one Native American tribe, but in multiple tribes, there were dozens of terms that referred to people that would now be considered trans, and that was hundreds of years ago. So I'm just wondering why you think that people are only trans now because the media is telling them to be.
Well, I told you, because of the proliferation. So you can't just go from having 0% to suddenly 25%
Right, but what
of
I'm
people.
saying is that
Yeah, totally. The massive jump. So you guys started teaching radical gender theory not only on college campuses, not only in high school, literally not only in elementary school, daycares as well. And there's now an explosion of people identifying under the incredibly broad umbrella of LGBTQ plus divided by sign. That's pretty reasonable to question that. It's pretty reasonable to say, is there some sort of social contagion here? There's actually evidence to suggest that there is when it comes to friend groups identifying a certain way. It kind of spreads like wildfire within that friend group, because it doesn't mean that you're gay. You can say that you're non-binary or something, and it just means that you're in the group without really committing to anything. And really quick, this student keeps saying that these people would be trans people today. First of all, no basis for saying that, but even in the limited amount of information we have on kind of two-spirit Indian tribes, let's just focus on the kind of religious aspect of gender identity really quick. Gender identity relates to the perceived nature of oneself, whereas you have two-spirit, really what that is it's sort of like a, according to Indian tribes, sort of like a savant-like power that channels truths about the external world. It's a spiritual thing. I mean, I almost feel bad for any Native Americans that actually know about this stuff, because these people, you have college activists that are grabbing onto it saying that they're trans. All right, you guys, let's take a few moments to talk about today's sponsor, Deal Dash. Now, I know many of you are already bidding on Deal Dash, but for those of you who don't know, Deal Dash is an auction website that many people either seem to love or hate. If you've seen their ads on TV at any point during the last 15 years, you'll know that they have thousands of auctions every day with brand new items. Right here's just a handful of items that are up for auction today. We have a Nintendo Switch, a cordless chainsaw, some Oakley snowboarding goggles, which, by the way, good spot to get some snowboarding gear. They also have just crazy stuff. iPad selling for 10 to 15 bucks. I want to show you guys this right here. PS5. This PS5 sold for $33.59. That is ridiculous. So you're probably wondering, okay, so what's the catch? Because this is just absurd. Well, you have to pay for the right to bid. I'll explain. They have much bigger bid packs, but right here you have one for beginners. They'll ask you to buy 10 bids for $2, which means you can bid 10 times in any of their auctions. Now, every auction starts at $0 with no minimum reserve price, and every time you bid, you can at most raise the price by a penny. After you bid, the auction timer counts down by 10 seconds, and if nobody bids in the next 10 seconds, you win the auction. So Deal Dash hooked me up with some bids. Let's go ahead and find some items to bid on. I already know what we're going for, these Oakley snowboarding goggles. So I'll click bid right here. You'll see that I'm at the very top with the highest bid. That's me, the zombie. Right here we have an iPhone. I'm still using the 11. Let's hit bid. I'm at the very top. Real James Klug, Mr. Zomb. Oh, somebody outbid me. There we go, back at the top. So you guys check out DealDash.com. When you sign up, use my promo code KLUG100 and you'll get 100 extra free bids on your first bid pack purchase. And if you don't win an auction using these bids or you just don't like it for any reason, contact DealDash and they'll give you your money back, no questions asked, on your first bid pack purchase. So the downside is pretty limited, you guys. It's worth a try. Make sure to do me a favor and check out DealDash.com/KLUG100 and take advantage of this deal. I will put a link down in the description below. Let's get back to this video.
These people were around for thousands of years.
Well, what you're saying is that some Native American tribes had people that would be considered trans today, something that we can't fact check because they're dead.
It's
right?
historical knowledge.
It's historical
documented.
knowledge that there were trans Native Americans.
Yes.
I really don't think that's historical knowledge. But here's what I'll answer. I don't think that there were
well, I'm telling you
trans
that
Native
there
Americans.
Were, so if you could educate yourself a little more, you would know that.
Okay.
As well.
Oh, she's telling him. She's telling Candace that there were. That's just fact. You can't argue with that.
I will educate myself. I will educate myself on the trans Native Americans that were running around America. But here's what I'll say: Native Americans were also cannibals. Did you know that fact? Did you educate yourself on the fact?
All Native Americans were
so
cannibals?
should we just assume that it's natural for us to be eating humans because Native Americans were cannibals?
I really think that don't apply to what I'm asking at all.
It exactly applies to what you're asking. You're saying that you found a piece of historical knowledge, which I would genuinely love to fact check, that there were trans
Do you want some
Native
names?
Americans of their trans names. Yes.
Lozen, Datese, Hastinkla, Oshtish, Wehwa.
These were trans Native Americans.
Yes.
Okay.
You can see how Candace keeps doubling down on it. She's saying they're trans. Is that what they are? Because this student right here is grabbing onto this sort of two-spirit idea and just saying that these people today would be going through all the surgical procedures and they would be today's trans individuals, people identifying as trans. That's what it would be. Candace is obviously having no part of this. I kind of wish, in the last one that we had, Candace was just saying, I'm too pregnant for this. I don't think you can't reuse that phrase too many times. It's just too funny. I mean, seeing her up here, she's over 8 months pregnant, dealing with these students during Q&As. I mean, you just gotta applaud her for her work ethic.
Okay, I think what you're saying is that they probably found some that they thought that they had different spirits, because we know that Native Americans were incredibly spiritual. There's no question about
Are you
that.
not
Which
spiritual? You believe in God?
I do believe in God. Yes.
So
That doesn't make me believe in trans people. That doesn't make me believe that you can switch your parts. I don't believe they were performing surgeries. And you can let me know, but I don't believe that in Native American history they were performing surgeries trying to switch their genitals because they thought that they were born in the wrong
there were people
body.
that felt that they didn't belong in the binary genders that we have.
Okay, so you're talking about somebody in the history of Native American history had a feeling that they were, and now you're saying that they're trans.
I'm just saying, I don't think you're really addressing what I'm asking. I'm saying that
I think I've addressed it like 20 times, and you're just not wanting to hear it because you want to believe that there were trans Native Americans that were chopping off their genitals. They weren't.
I feel so bad. I'm going to say this again. I feel so bad for anybody with like sort of Native American ancestry that's having to deal with leftist activists leveraging their culture and using it to support their narrative today for puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgical procedures for trans individuals. I just feel bad because now they're putting kind of a target, as you can see by some of Candace's language. Now they're putting a target on Native Americans. A part of me feels bad about this. If you're in the comments with any sort of ancestors, I'm really curious I will be sifting through the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about this trans activist leveraging that information and crafting her own narrative, which is, I mean, this is a very, I'm sure many of you guys have heard this narrative before. You guys have heard this argument being used, and it's a complete lie. They're just simply jumping to a conclusion, trying to support their agenda.
But I'm, again, happy to educate myself and explore.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a Native American that was chopping off genitals. Happen to have, in my family, Native American history, never heard of it, but I'm definitely happy to dive into it. I think what you're probably facing is a rewrite of history where they're taking something that was just an idea, of a spiritual idea, where people, and you see this today, who take ayahuasca, they have a trip, they go back, they say that they realize they were a man in a prior life. This is very common when people take drugs, which the Native Americans did, but again, they weren't chopping their dicks off. So no, this is a different thing that we're dealing with here. Next question.
Just holding absolutely no punches. I think this, I mean, I don't know, maybe Candace is always kind of on fire when it comes to these Q&As, but I gotta say, I mean, there has to be some of this that has to do with her literally about to give birth that is not tolerating the nonsense. This is just totally Candace Owens against the world right now. I'm just loving every bit of this. I hope she does, I mean, I hope she does at least a couple more of these this month, just because they're so good. And really what's interesting about this is it really allows us to kind of watch the far left expose a lot of these arguments, because that's actually one of the primary arguments when it comes to combating. And the reason why they bring up that argument is because they were having trouble combating when it comes to gender identity and all of this gender ideology. The trans activists were having trouble combating the idea that they just made this stuff up recently. It's all new. And so they had to go do their very best to find an argument that said, no, it's not new. This is from hundreds of years ago. So that's why they grabbed onto Two-Spirit, even though it's not, they were not like trans activists or trans individuals back in the day. But this is the best that they could grab onto. And that's why you keep hearing about it, because they needed to combat the idea that this was gender identity and gender ideology originated with Dr. Money, and then it started to progress through feminist theory and all of that over the last 20, 30 years, and just recently became popularized. But they needed some argument. This is the best they could come up with. The best they could come up with was saying that these guys, these Indian tribes back in the day, you know, Candace isn't wrong, doing a lot of drugs, very spiritual people, and saying, well, these people, because they believed that they had an understanding of the world around them, and they were two-spirited, that those people were just trans. I mean, that's the argument. That's the argument that's being made. And it was nice to see Candace push back on that. You guys, let me know what you thought about this exchange down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about my commentary down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. And I'll catch you all in the next video.